Hello students, welcome to my channel Shalini Tutorial Classes. Today we are going to do a very important chapter for class 10, that is genetics. Okay, now children, you all have a misconception that this chapter is very difficult, it is not easy to score in this, and some children don't even have a look of that, means they don't go through this chapter very well, and they say that this is very difficult one, and they skip all the questions related to this chapter. I know few students, they have never been like, always they try to skip this chapter and teacher, I'll score in all the other one. So let me make it very clear, this is not as difficult or tough one as you all are feeling. This is a very easy chapter. If you understand the basic fundamentals of genetics, you will be in a position to answer the question. This is such one there where you no need to mug up any definitions, any formulas or anything. A simple day-to-day life which you observe, it is as simple as that. Okay, like when we say that a child born in the family member, like a child is born, and people, all the people in the family, they start comparing the child's appearance with to whom he would be resembling, whether it's a father, whether it's a mother. Some says the child has got the eyes like father, some says the color like mother. They start comparing. Okay, so in this chapter genetics, we will be doing some fundamentals where we will be including Mendel's law of this inheritance, and we will be able to understand beforehand the basic aspects. We will learn chromosomes, we will learn genes, we will learn some very common heredity traits in humans. Okay children, so this is going to be a very nice video, and which you would be able to understand, and you will like to you would go back to that chapter and you will think of studying it. It's such an interesting chapter. So have you ever wondered, like, why we humans give birth to a human baby, the baby kind only? Why do dogs have only puppies itself? Okay, and birds, why they give birth to baby birds only? Why so? Why the children look alike like parents? What is the reason behind? The very simple answer is genetics and the evolution. Okay, so genetics is what? It is the study of heredity. Heredity means the transmission of the body features, both similar features and different features, from parents to the offsprings. Okay, so genetics means what? Like a father, you take a pair of parents, like one father is very tall and dark in complexion, mother is short in height but very fair in complexion. Okay, now the child born is tall as father and fair as mother. That means the child got the features of father height and got the feature of mother skin color, and thus he is tall and fair. That means the transmission of height from the father, transmission of the color from the mother. Okay, so this is heredity. Okay, the transmission of the character and the traits from the one generation to the next generation, to the offsprings. Okay, and there is one more method. Genetics is variations. Variations means the differences, like some characteristics which are not been there in the parents but the child acquired. For an example, I would say the same couple, father tall and dark color, mother short and fair in complexion, both have no interest in dance or music. But the child, on the other hand, he has a keen interest in music. He wants to learn dance, and he slowly, gradually becomes a very good dancer. So now the question will come, teacher, neither the father is in good music, neither the mother, then how could the child had? This is because of the variations of genetics. Okay, so what happens, this the child has acquired from looking at the surroundings, the environment, the students in the class, they are going for dance classes and everything, he also going, and slowly that hobby enriched in himself. Okay, so there are two ways of genetics. One, by birth, which you are getting, that is inherited. Okay, and one which you are acquiring from the environment. Is it clear, children, what I mean to say? So the character and the traits which are there in the offsprings, one is inherited from the parents, from one generation to the another generation, whereas acquired traits are the one which you acquired after getting birth. Once you are born, then you are getting those traits. Okay, one by birth, one after the birth. So the by birth what you are getting, you can't change, no, you can't change that you have to accept it. But the acquired trait is you can develop it. It's in you, how you manage. You learn dancing, even if you your parents are very shy in talking, but a child can become a bold one. He can develop that trait in him. Okay, so genetics is like that only, one inherited and one acquired. So in order to study acquired, every people understand, like just depends on the interest of the child and the environment. That's why people say na, give a good circle of friendship. Always parents say na, don't talk to that boy or don't talk to that girl, I don't like it, this that, they give you examples. Why? They want you to be in a good circle of friendship, so that you acquire good traits from them, because it's the environment to which you correlate, and you take those traits and you develop those traits in your body. Okay, so in order to understand this inheritance, one, we have the rules of Mendel's, and we have one sex determination process by which we can understand much more better how the traits are being inherited. That means transmitted from the parents to the offsprings. Now see, the traits, as already we discussed, the two. So in inherited traits, we have all the physical characteristics, basically how do we look like. Okay, and in the acquired traits, we have the features which after birth we learn, like riding a bicycle, reading, writing books and everything. Okay, so basically you keep in your mind that the traits are two kind. Genetics, when we are studying, that means we are studying the traits, and the traits are of two kind: inherited by birth, when you are born with that, and acquired means you it developed throughout your life. It is not something which you are born with. Okay, so we have some examples, like physical traits means what looks to you in the appearance, what you can look from outside: hair color, the freckles, your hairstyle, okay, spots, like the turtle, the shell what had, the bird beaks. So these are the physical traits. And when we talk about the behavior traits, that means how do we walk, how do we sing, how do we talk, how do we respond to each other, why do birds fly. Okay, so these all are behavior traits. So traits are one physical, one is behavior. So if in exam the question comes, what is the difference between the character and the trait? So character is a heritable feature which you acquire from your parents. Okay, and trait is what? It is the alternative form of the character. Like for example, if the character of height we are talking about from the parents, so height, what could be the traits? Either for a height a person can be tall or a person can be short. These are the two. For example, if you take a character of skin color, what could be the trait? Either fair or dark or brownish. If you take a character as hair, then what would be the trait? Either curly hair or straight hair. Understood, children? Now, so in this manner, you can on your own, you can have a number of characters and the number of traits belonging to that character. I hope it's clear the difference between the character and the trait. So character we acquired, and the traits are the types of those character. How many types it could be? Okay. So a genes, when we study about the character of the inherited feature, and the examples, you take one particular character and the types of that character are known as traits, or in biological word we can also call them as alleles, the alternative form of the character or the types of the character. Now inherited traits, every like they have that feature, the special feature which they acquire. Okay, and acquired, not born with. You, as per as you grow, you learn it from the environment. So a very quick recap of what we have done till now. Acquired, these are something which you are acquiring from the environmental factors, and inherited, developed due to the transmission of the characters from the parents to the offsprings. Okay, and the acquired traits are developed slowly till your death, from your birth till the death, what you learn. But inherited is something, it transferred, they do not die, they have passed from your parents to you, and then you to your next generation. It will just be transforming. Understood? I hope it's clear. Sorry. So moving ahead, now the question will come, why the teacher, the father tall came to the son and the skin color of the mother came to the child? Why not father short height came to the child? Like, how to decide what of father will come to the child, what character of the mother will come to the child? A very simple answer. Okay, like you can see in the slide, the father has a big nose, mother has bushy eyebrows. The child got big nose and bushy eyebrows. So what is the reason? The reason behind is father tall character was dominant over mother short height. Father tall height was dominant over mother short height, means it was more expressive, and so it came to the offspring. So in that case, when both the parents, the characters are being while transmission, whichever character becomes the dominant one will come to the child, and whichever character is being suppressed, that is called recessive, that character does not come. Okay, so dominant factor is what? The allele factor, means the tall or the short, these are alleles, I just explained you. So the dominant factor is the allele which is expressive, and the one which is not expressive is recessive. Okay, like tall, round, violet, these you can take as a dominant character of a plant, pea plant, whereas short, wrinkled seed, white flowers, okay, not colorful, these are recessive, they are not expressive and they are not being transmitted to the child body. Okay, now to make it more clear, see, the father, the characteristics which were very dominant were transferred to the first generation, and the second one, you can see the mother, some parts were being dominant, so some got, and some were father's dominant. So the second child had both father and mother creativities. In the third one, the first part, fathers were being very dominant, so acquired from father, and the mothers second part was becoming dominant, so that feature received from the mother. And the last child, the mother features were more dominant, and thus the child got the maximum character or the traits from the mother. So it depends, when father and mother characteristics which are dominant, that will be transferred to the offsprings, and the one which are not expressive, that is they are recessive, they will be suppressed, they will not be allowed to pass on. Now when you go through all this, first two terms we have understood, important terms, what are character and what are traits. Now we come to the second term which we are going to discuss, that is phenotype and genotype. Now what is phenotype? Phenotype, the one which is visible, the one which you can see, and genotype is the genes which are present inside the organism, it is a biological one. So one is physical appearance, and genotype in short word if you say, it is a behavior one. Okay, so later on as we proceed, or in the book when you see the questions and all, you will be asked the phenotype and the genotype. So what is the meaning of that? Phenotype means the offspring's physical characteristics, and genotype means the offspring's behavior characteristics. So children, I hope now these all four terms are very clear to you. Now moving ahead, when genetic transmission happens from one parent to the other parent, like one is having capital G, the other also capital G of one parent, and the another parent is having capital Y, and the other one is also capital Y. So when they are being transmitted, just simple like you do na maths cross multiplication. So the first box would be coming capital G capital Y, then the second box Y into G, again capital G capital Y, coming down again Y into G, so YG, again the next one Y into G, YG. So a simple cross multiplication goes on. Okay, now in this cross multiplication, when both are the same, like both are capital B, you can see the first one, both are small b, then such ones are called as homogeneous, and the one where it differs is heterozygous. Okay, homozygous, heterozygous. So homo means when both the traits are same, and heterozygous when both the terms differ, the characters are different, then it is heterozygous. Very similar like in chemistry you done na, homogeneous and heterogeneous. Homogeneous, the components means same throughout the composition, and heterogeneous means they are not same throughout the composition. It's very similar to that kind. If the transmission of the character and the traits both are of same, then it is homozygous, and if they are of different, then they are called as heterozygous. Now in a human body, this as already in cell division chapter and all you have already studied, that we have 23 pairs of chromosomes, out of which the 22 sets are known as autosomes, and the last one is called as sex chromosomes. Okay, so the 22 are called as autosomes, and the last pair which is responsible for the sex determination of the child which is taking birth, whether it will be a boy or a girl, is sex chromosomes. So when father has 22 pairs, mother has 22 pairs, these are autosomes, and the one which is the sex ones. So in this character, what happens? Mother in the sex chromosome has both homozygous, that is both XX, whereas father has X and Y, heterozygous. Okay, and when these sex chromosomes, when the father and the mother same chromosome, same character one, come for the zygote fertilization process and all, then we have a baby girl. And if both are different, father is having the Y chromosome, and mother since having the same single chromosome XX only, father has two traits, X and Y. So when the Y, the different one, comes for the fertilization with the mother's one, then the child born is a boy. So understood. So from this science has proved, like in ancient times, many ladies were being cursed of not giving birth to baby boy, and they were being in history you have studied how the women have been suffered for that. They were being taunted, there were been domestic violence, and in some areas the father was being, again the second marriage was done, that the lady is unable to give birth to a baby boy. So science, this genetics has proved mother has no hand at all in the determination of the sex of the child born. It is solely and solely the father who is responsible for the sex determination of a baby, because mother has only one XX only, the same chromosomes, but the father has two different traits, X and Y. So if the same, that is mother X and the father X, the same fertilize, then it's a baby girl. And when they differ, that is heterozygous, then it is a baby boy. Okay, so out of the whole 23 pairs, the 22 are autosomes, and the only one is the sex chromosomes. Okay, the last pair, 23rd pair. So it is, you can see very clearly in the diagram, mother having XX, father having X and Y. If X and X combine together, it is having X, and when mother X and father Y combine, then you have XY. So if XX, then it is a baby girl, and if XY, then it's a baby boy. Clear? I hope part is clear to you all. And how do, when X and Y comes, how do meiosis process occurs, and in the cell, in the ovaries, and then the daughter or the son, depending on that the zygote, the baby sex is being determined. Okay, now in this table, to understand it much more better, if you in this kind of a table form, if you study, the males are having XY, the female having XX. When you multiply X into X, the first one you had XX, the second time one was X into Y, it is XY, again XX XY. So the YY, where it is coming the differ, there is a possibility of having a baby boy. So this is what we call as genotype, the father and the mother. So that is the behavior, personality, like what will come depending on the chromosomes, what are being in the zygote process happening. So a quick review, what is phenotype and genotype? The characteristics which is controlled, physical, that is phenotype, and the set of genes which are there inside, within, which is responsible for your behavior one, then it is called as a genotype. Now in order to study all this, whatever we have done till now, in order to understand it much more better, we will understand the law of Mendelis. Now who was Mendelis? Mendelis was an Austrian monk, and he is also called as the father of genetics, because he had studied the inheritance, how the properties are being acquired and inherited, and doing an experiment on a garden pea, a pea plant in his garden, and he observed and he came up with 3 laws: law of dominance, law of segregation, law of independent assortment. Okay, now these 3 laws will make it much more clear how these all things are happening. So dominance means, like already we did, the 2 traits are there, one which is able to express will call dominant, and that feature will be there in the offspring, and the recessive one will be suppressed. So that is how it is happening, that we will do in the law of dominance. Law of segregation, there we will understand how the traits are being segregated, you are being distributed. That is law of segregation. And in independent assortment, we will be understanding the different pairs of allies, the different characteristics, how which are not there in the parents and how they are independently coming up in the offspring. So these are the three laws of Mendel's. Now, in Mendel's, this monohybrid and dihybrid, these are the two ways. Now, like the word mono itself let you know that mono means both the parents have only one trait different. We have already discussed what is character, what is traits. So if both the parents only one different in traits are there which we are going to cross, that is monohybrid. And in dihybrid, what happens, the crossing occurs when there are two traits in different. For example, you can see in the slide, mono, the difference is only that capital T and small t. But in dihybrid, the difference you can see, there is one capital R, capital Y, and the other one is small r and capital Y. Now you will ask me, what is this T, R and Y? This is nothing. These are the characteristics which we took and for our study, like to make it more understand. See, if heterozygous, it is the tall, capital T refers to the tall and small t refers to the short height. So what will happen, just a simple multiplication how you do for your mathematics. So capital T into capital T, you had TT. Capital T into small t, you had capital T into small t. Small t into capital T, small t into small t. So what is happening in this case, see, the three, first one is homozygous, same, second one is heterozygous, third one again heterozygous, fourth one is homozygous. That means there is one possibility that the child will be absolutely tall because both are capital T. Second case, the chances are could be taller, it will be taller because the dominant, the first one is the dominant, that is capital T. Third scenario also tall because the dominant one is capital T, that is tall. But in the fourth one, the dominant is short, that is small t. So in this way we will understand which one is dominant, which one is recessive, and what are the chances of the offspring to be. In this way we understand. This is the process, Mendel's first law of dominance. Okay, two alleles are different and we associate each one of them with the other, and the one which becomes the dominant, the possibilities of having that character in the offspring becomes the chances becomes the more. The second law, as we discussed, the law of segregation. In this you have the traits, how they are divided from the parents generation to the next generation. Okay, and in this what Mendel saw that in the first generation the same kind of answers are coming. In the first, it's the same going on, process is the same, like the tall is dominant, so every time the tall is the dominant. So what did Mendel do? After, from the first, both the parents, the offsprings came, and then he manually did the process between the offsprings in order to study it much more better. Then what he saw, that pairing of the contrasting character, when he did the hybriding, then he saw that recessive one, the short height one, also got a quality and a chance to be a dominant. Okay, like you saw the last box, The first two, all the three, the possibility was of tall, but at last we got one box where the short height also became a dominant. So in order to study better, what did Mendeleev do? The first, father and mother and the offsprings, what he got, the same offsprings been hybrided among themselves to see how many more variety of traits could we have. Okay, so the first one, when parent, both the parent, then that is called as F1 generation. And when you go on with the hybriding of the offsprings with the two different kind of offsprings what you had, then it is called as F2 generation, where F1 generation, self fertilization, he gone on with self fertilization with F1 generation and he acquired the F2 generation. So like, see, in F2 generation what is happening? When Mendeleev did the experiment, he did the experiment on a pea plant. So what are the different, what can you take? Either in the form of seeds or in the form of flowers or the pods. Pods means pea seeds are enclosed, no? Then the stem. So what are the chances? Either the seeds could be gray and round or yellow. Either the seeds could be very the roundness or the wrinkled, the first difference you had. Or you can have that the cotyledons inside yellow or green. Or you can have the color of the flower white, simple white, or attractive colorful. Then pods form, maybe the pods are full or maybe very less constricted. The color of the pod, either it could be yellow or either it could be green. Then the place where those pods, axial pods, flowers along, or they are terminal. Terminal means the flowers are on the top, and the axial means the flowers are at the axillary buds, at the point of the axillary buds. Then you can have the size, the stems are long or short. So these are the different character and the traits on which Mendeleev did the experiment of the pea plant and came to the observation how this inheritant property goes on. Okay, so the basically these were the 7 characters of the traits, and he made a mark that these are the dominant, these are the recessive. So in the seed shape, considered the round as to be the dominant, wrinkled one as a recessive. Color, considered yellow as dominant, green as recessive. Flower color, he considered violet color to be dominant, white to be recessive. So in this way, the 7 characters were taken and been considered which one would be the dominant and what would be the recessive one. So having a quick review till now what we did. So monohybrid and dihybrid, these were the 2 terms which now we have done. Monohybrid means cross pollination between the parents in which only one pair is contrasting, whereas dihybrid, cross pollination between the parents where 2 pairs are contrasting. Okay, like example, tall and short pea plant, then it is monohybrid. But when you have 2 characteristics like the plant is round and wrinkled, one characteristic difference, the other one the seeds are yellow and green. So 2 traits you are comparing, then it is dihybrid. One only comparing, then it is monohybrid. So till now this was the one important term which we have learned. Now see, so in the first generation one, when with the parents only you have only capital Y and small y, means one for yellowness and the small one. The recessive is always written in small letters, the dominant is written in capital letters. Okay children, keep this in mind. The capital ones are written in the dominants are written in capital and the recessive are written in the short, but the alphabets are taken as the same. It's not so that yellow we take as Y and for the green we will take G. No, if you are taking between the colors, then what you will do, because yellow is dominant, so you will take capital Y for the dominant, and for the recessive you will take small y. Understood? That is the process how to take. So now in this manner you can have different characters, and you can on your own as a homework you can do the recessive and dominant. In the comment section you can just put up, and I'll do the correction and I'll let you know whether you are correct or not. Like for example, I'll take if I say round and wrinkled, so if I take capital R for round, then my small r will be for wrinkled. If suppose for any like hair color, suppose if I take a capital H for straight hair, then my small h will be curly. Means both will be resembled with the same alphabet, but the dominant will be done with capital and the recessive will be done with the small letter. Okay, so first F1, the first gametes one, it is heterogeneous between the parent and coming to the offsprings. And in F2 what we are doing self pollination between the offsprings of the F1 only. What the offsprings you got in F1, you do self pollination, and from that what result you are getting, that is called F2 offspring. Okay, like the first one you can see capital Y and small y, this is my one offspring, this is F1. Now this capital Y and small y, we are doing self pollination, so in both the cases capital Y small y with capital Y and small y, then what the result you got is your F2 generation. So children, is it clear what is F1 generation, what is F2 generation? F1 generation, parents to the offsprings. F2 generation, self pollination of the F1 offsprings. What you receive from F1, to that you do self pollinating, then it is called F2 generation. So children, till now we did the three laws, the segregation, the dominance and the inheritance, how it has happened, how to understand which one would be the recessive, which one will be the dominant. Monohybrid, one different trait, then it is monohybrid. Yes, like first case only yellow and green I am comparing, then it is monohybrid. This is the way the table form and you can do. And in dihybrid we have two differences, like one if you take of color, one you can take of the size, two different traits, and when they are being crossed, that is dihybrid. So this what we have discussed. Now to this table, with the help of what table we are doing, this table is called as Punnett square. Okay, the table what we are doing. So before moving ahead on that, a quick revision of monohybrid, dihybrid inheritance. Monohybrid, the inheritance from a single parent having only one different of the characteristic traits. Dihybrid, when you are having the difference of two characteristic traits. Okay, it's clear to you all what is homozygous and heterozygous, same similar alleles then of a particular trait, then it is homozygous, both tall, both short, okay, both round, these are homozygous. And when it is of different alleles, one tall, one short, one round, one wrinkled, so this is called heterozygous. Monohybrid, cross between parents and with only one difference in the character. Dihybrid, cross between the parents with two different characters. So children, all these points are clear. We had a quick revision of this. Okay, how this is happening. Now two differences, see, round, yellow. So round is capital R, we denoted. So the one which is wrinkled denoted with small r. So for yellow if you have taken capital Y, for green you are taking small y. Understood? The alphabets of the dominant will be in capital and the recessive will be the same alphabet. You will not take a different alphabet, the same alphabet but in small letters. I hope it's clear. Now you can, on your own, you can take different traits, height wise, color wise, and on your own you can do this. So in examinations, if you are getting the two traits, so you can put up on your own the alphabets and you can do this crossing. Very simple. On your own you can have the 7 characters and you can take the dominant and the recessive and you can do on your own. So try this table, children, at home. Okay. Now what we were talking about, the table which we are doing, that table is called as Punnett squares. Okay. Now how do these Punnett squares are helpful? So this Punnett square in genetics is a grid that let us know what could be the possible outcomes when the crossing is being done. So that table which we are drawing and we are doing inside it, that square itself is called Punnett square. So now, like in examination, if teacher says using a Punnett square, show me a Punnett square for our father and the mother genes. Okay, the transmission. Very simple, no need to scare. Just this box, father gametes one side, mother gamete on the other side you wrote, and just multiply to the each box like you do in maths. So capital B and capital B, the first box you had capital B both. The second one, what you are having, one side capital B, the other side small b. So what does it indicating? Capital B means the dominating, small b means the recessive. It could be any character which you have taken. Okay, maybe B, anything. It's up to you. Maybe the skin color or the height or the hair texture, anything. So in this way you can multiply and put it up in the table. So this is called Punnett square. On your own, it is not at all difficult. It's very as simple as whichever both the traits are there, just took that both the traits and you put it inside the box. The dominant being capital and the recessive being the smaller one. Okay, so this is the easy way to draw your own Punnett squares. And remember, just the dominant should be written at the first and then the recessive has to be written. And always one character, one alphabet, out of which the same alphabet, the dominant you will use capital, the recessive you use with the smaller. Just this small thing you remember, it's as simple as. Okay, very easy to understand the Punnett squares. One more example, try on your own. Capital B, the first box you had the possibility both capital B. Second one, capital B, small b, that means the dominant is capital B and the other one is recessive. So the dominant we will write first, that is capital B, then we wrote the recessive. Then recessive and the dominant, when we multiplied again, we will write dominant the first, always the dominant the first. So capital B, small b. Second case, both recessive, so both the recessive. So in this way you can do n numbers of Punnett square on your own. I hope now in exam you won't skip these kind of questions. Okay, so from the Punnett square we will come to know what is the possibility of the offspring. So like in the first one you saw how many capital P's are there. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the 4 boxes are having capital P. So capital P was taken for the color of the flower, violet color, and the white color was taken as a recessive, that is small p. That means if capital P is coming on all the 4 boxes, that means the possibility of violet color flower is 100%. Out of 4, all the 4 having capital P, 100% possibility of having a violet flower. So what does it says? The second one, the offspring, that is the capital P and the small p, you are doing the self pollination in the second one. So capital P, small p, and you are doing. So how many capital P's you are getting? 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 means 1 chance is there of having the white flower. So out of 4, 3 the possibility of having the violet color, 1 possibility of having the white color. So how we will write? 3:1. 3 purple is to 1 white. So this 3 is to 1, what we write, the purple, okay, that controls. So that tells us the phenotype and the genotype. So what is the phenotype? Means the physical one. Physical one will be the violet color. That is the what appearance we will have. So first one, we will have 100% the chance of the phenotype to be the purple color. Whereas in the second one, we have 3 is to 1. So did you understood how to find out this phenotype ratio? You might have seen the questions in the textbooks to give the ratio form. So just simply this Punnett square you will do, and you will see the possibilities of the dominant to the recessive, the number of times the dominants are coming, and with that you can calculate the ratio. As simple as that. Hope children you are understanding. So in very short we can say Punnett square is what? The probabilities what you are means you are thinking of. These can be the possible outcomes when the traits of the parents are pollinated with each other. So Punnett square just let us know the outcome, the possible outcomes of the offsprings. So now, like we already have discussed that Mendeleev has done all these experiment on a pea plant. So what he did, he took one tall pea plant, one the dwarf pea plant. So what is the possibility? The capital T and the small t. So and because the capital one, that is the dominant, so the feature over here, the phenotype will be capital T, that is the tall. So this is the first generation. Now what he did, from the first generation, this offspring, he did self pollination. So capital T small t, the other side also he took capital T small t, and when he did with the help of the Punnett square, what he got the possibility? He got over here 3 possibilities of tall, but 1 possibility of the short also. That means in the F1 generation, the one which was recessive, in the second generation there is a possibility that that recessive could be also become the main dominant, that the phenotype. Understood children how Mendeleev has done the experiment? F1 very simple, parents to the offsprings. F2 the offsprings self pollinated to get the outcome result, in which one possibility over there you see the recessive to become the dominant. Okay, very simple in the short diagram. Now I think you will be in a position to draw this Punnett square in exam to explain. You just took one alphabet. For the tall if capital T, so for the short what you took? Small t, not S. What you are taking for the main character? Just the capital for the dominant and the small for the recessive. Children, don't do this mistake. We observe while doing the corrections and all for the examination that these silly mistakes are there. So please keep this in mind. The character which you are taking, take one alphabet, let the capital be for the dominant and the smaller one for the recessive, and that's it. Very simple, as easy as. So you can do n numbers. So like in this table, what is the possibility? First, at all tall. Second, tall and short both. Third, tall and short both. Both short completely. So that means in the 4 box, 1 chance complete tall, 2 chance where short or tall could be, and the last one complete short. So this ratio 1 is to 2 is to 1. So this is genotypic ratio, or the phenotypic, the physical appearance ratio. 25% tall, 50% medium, could be because both are there, the traits tall and short both are there, and 25% short, because out of a square if we divide it in 100, 25 if we give each box the percentage is always out of 100. So 4 boxes, each one with 25%, and this way we can determine what characteristics or what the trait the child will have. Clear children? Suppose one is red and one is white, so we didn't took one for red for R and white for W. No, if we took it capital T for red, small t we took for the white. understood, children, how the Punnett squares help us to do the calculations? If there are two different traits, how it will come? Capital R for round, small r for wrinkled. Capital Y for the yellow color, then small y for the green color. And in this way, when you did the cross pollination and all, you see n possibilities of having round and yellow, 3 possibilities of having round and green, 3 possibilities of having wrinkled and yellow, and 1 possibility of having wrinkled and green. Clear, children, how the Punnett squares help? So, and you remember only one characteristics are being examined, then it is monohybrid. 2 different characteristics are being examined, then it is a dihybrid. I hope the things are very clear to you, and in that way you can calculate the ratio also, the possibility ratio also. That is what we called as genotype. So all these points I have introduced. So in this way you can do n number of characters and traits you can take up, and you can draft your own. So this would be a very good task. Take on your own 7 characters and make the dominant and the recessives, and do the self pollination and see the possibilities of what the outcomes will be in the offsprings. Okay, I hope you understood, and I was in a position to make this chapter very clear to you. And if you like it, then please do subscribe my channel and share with your friends. Thank you. Have a nice day.